Good morning, everybody, and good evening to everybody, all those of you who are in India. You are watching the fourth episode of the dialogue with Guruji, Guru Yogi Shivan. And what we've been discussing is the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita. This whole season is going to be about really going back into the Hindu scriptures, the Indian Vedic scriptures, and understanding all that most of us as children who grew up in India studied in school, were taught, learned, and probably could not decipher, decode, or make meaning of it to apply into our own lives. We talked about the five Pandavas, we talked about the Kauravas, we talked about Krishna, Arjun, Dhritarashtra, Bhishma. So if you haven't got all of those, just go back to the previous episodes. They're now available on YouTube as well as on my page every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. New York time. That's 9:30 a.m. EST and 7 p.m. IST. So now we're going to pick up exactly where we left, and Guruji is here. And we're going to get today's session started. Guruji, pranam
Namaste.
Guruji, namaste Guruji. Sorry, I'm holding the phone with one hand, so I can't bow down and pranam, but pranam to you, Guruji.
Oh, you're, I think, in outdoor.
I'm outdoor, Guruji. I'm in the middle of a 480-acre farm. It's just nothing,
Oh,
nothing here, just a farm. And
I
it's
see.
beautiful. Yes,
Oh, good, good.
luckily the internet is working, so I was able to do this, Guruji.
Very good, very good. Yes.
um,
So,
so, so, so Guruji, just we talked about so many of the characters in the Bhagavad Gita, how they represent, each one represents some aspect of truth of human life, and the main crux being the constant battle between the ego that believes that I can do all of this in the world,
mm,
and that knowing, that potential within, that knows that you're actually a part of this cosmos, of this universal consciousness, and there is a law
mm,
and order of dharma, that by
yes,
following that, by honoring that law and order of dharma, you can
true.
still be in the sansar, and you can
Yes.
still go with the flow, and then you can
Mm,
achieve that higher consciousness. So
mm,
Dharmaputra Yudhishthira was a great example of that. But even with that, a little attachment to his primitive self held him back. So that is the biggest battle, and that's the main representation in Mahabharata. Everything else, all the other aspects, um, kind of represent different aspects of our human nature. So, Guruji, I know with that we had some other important aspects and characters to discuss: Eklavya, Chakravyuh. So, before we start, Guruji, why don't you tell us the different characters that we will go into today? The last set of the remaining important concepts that we are going to decode.
yeah. In between, when I thought about this talk, Ekalavya is the character which came in my mind as a first one.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I felt, we have to discuss about the significance of Sharashaya. Why the Pidamaha was kept on the bed of Harrow, very painful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in that position, he was advising Dharmaputra how to rule the country. It
Mm-hmm.
is called,
Mm-hmm.
that section, that chapter is called Anushasana Parva. Anushasana in Sanskrit, unquestionable command. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a Supreme Court verdict. If the verdict is delivered, then no further discussion about that. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Anushasana. So the whole
Mm-hmm.
chapter is, the explanation or
Mm-hmm.
the interpretation of the dharma and
Mm-hmm.
how the dharma should be executed in our day-to-day life. As a king,
Mm-hmm.
as a businessman, as a warrior, as a trader, like that, it's comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt we would discuss that. Another one is Chakravyuh. So Abhimanyu, the story says, Abhimanyu was inside the womb, Subhadra's, belly, and Arjuna was, they were simply chit-chatting, and Arjuna was telling a story or telling an experience how to penetrate the Chakravyuh. Chakra means. Okay, in the warfield, expert masters, very few people only could array the army in that way. It's a like a magical trap. If somebody is entering inside, it is very, very difficult to break that warriors, the shield
It's
of
like a
warrior.
maze. Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah.
and enter inside is impossible. Only 3 people could do that. Dronacharya, who could arrange the Chakravyuh, Krishna himself, and Arjuna. But one day, when Subhadra was bored, then Arjuna was telling how I could penetrate the Chakravyuh and go inside the Chakravyuh and target the enemy king. And how, after killing the enemy, how I could come back or escape from that trap successfully. So he was explaining, and he heard that somebody was listening like, like that. So Arjuna thought Subhadra was listening. So he was explaining how to penetrate go into the center part of that circle.
Chakravyuh.
Then Chakravyuh, he entered there in the narration. Then he looked at Subhadra. He found that Subhadra was fast asleep. He was surprised. Who was then, making the noise like exception, sign that, like that? It was the child who was inside the belly. So immediately he stopped that narration. So he entered there, and he didn't explain how to come out.
Get out.
So that is the background of the story and incident. Then what is happening now? When Arjuna was taken away from the main warfield to some other areas to cover up some armies, the attack of other armies, then Bhishma was making a lot of damages. Then Pandava army said, somebody should be there to stop Bhishma, in the absence of Arjuna. Arjuna alone could stop, Bhishma's, wrath. So somehow Abhimanyu, the son of Arjuna, as, powerful as Arjuna, and very, very technical in using the weapons. So he said, being a young guy, he said, I will take care of it. Then he penetrated to the Kaurava army. Then there was the Chakravyuh arranged by Dronacharya. It was a trap for this young guy, really. And his valor didn't allow him to stop by seeing the Chakravyuh, because he knew how to penetrate. And he told the other guys, see, I don't know how to come out. Anyhow, I will penetrate in. I will open the way, and immediately your armies should support me. With that opening, you should penetrate
Come
in.
Yeah.
Pandava army said, yes, you open the way, then we will rush in. So he agreed. So he opened the way with his valor and the knowledge he acquired when he was in the home. He entered in, but King Jayadratha immediately came in picture and stopped the other Pandava armies, entering from. And nobody could support this poor young guy. So he was trapped inside. Because of the strong warrior, he didn't want to come back. So he penetrated in. Then all Kaurava armies covered him, and finally he was killed over there, in a very, very, like a miserable way.
Brutal
So,
manner.
huh?
Brutal manner. I said he
It's
was killed
like
in a brutal manner.
brutal manner, not even brutal, like, it was like um, it was like a cheating. The poor guy was trapped in, and he was kept alone, and nobody appreciated his valor, and everybody attacked together. It was actually against the law of war, as far as our dharma is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
If one
Mm-hmm.
guy is alone, army should not
You
attack him.
attack
The
him.
people should fight one by one. But in this
Mm-hmm.
case, everybody attacked together from all sides and killed that young guy. Anyhow,
Mm-hmm.
this is again sentimental thing. But for
Hmm.
our analysis,
Yes.
see,
So
when we
Guruji,
explain this,
let's let's take we spoke about a few different concepts today. So we'll first understand Abhimanyu, everything about Abhimanyu. Then we'll move to Bhishma on his arrows, giving the discourse to Yudhishthira, and then we will move to Eklavya, and we'll understand how all of them relate to our context.
yes. So we will move. Please repeat. We will move away from this explanation. Go to the
No,
other
no, no,
incident.
no, no, no. We'll stay with this explanation, Guruji.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
stay with Abhimanyu. Let's understand everything about Abhimanyu. Then we'll move to Bhishma on
Yes.
his arrows. And then we will move to Eklavya.
Regular. Okay. Right.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this is the story. Now the listeners must be aware that a child from the womb, and he was brought up as a good warrior, and he was trapped into this Chakravyuh, and he was killed, in a very pathetic way. Fine. But actually, the Chakravyuh is the symbol of our own mind. For a yogi, the Chakravyuh is the mind,
Hmm.
and we can learn from any source to enter in the mind or in the depth of the mind. But entering in the depth of the mind is possible. But if you are trapped in, unless you are as focused as Arjuna, you will be lost. You cannot come out of that. Or you should be as established in yoga as Krishna. Or you should be as experienced as the Acharya Drona. See the beauty of the arrangement of knowledge. So Drona can go inside the depth of the mind, and he can make use of the power of mind either to protect or to kill. So his mind is being used as a tool. That is what is called Acharya. Okay, Krishna is the embodiment of yoga or embodiment of the God, Narayana. So God knows everything.
Hmm.
Otherwise, a human being who is capable of safely entering inside in the depth of the mind and coming out must be one point, must be having one pointed mind. That is the
Focus.
peculiarity, speciality of Arjuna. So these three people are capable of entering into the depth of the mind and comfortably, safely come out from that. So this is the message given to us. Otherwise, you can have valor, you can have a way to get the knowledge to enter in. But if you want to go in the depth of the mind is so mysterious. It's a trap. Actually, it's a trap. Kala
Hmm.
Chakra, Kala means the wheel of time, is manifesting as our mind. So when we
Hmm.
go deep in, we should be trained enough to fix the mind in one point. Ekagrita,
Hmm.
means
Hmm.
concentrated mind, must
Hmm.
be attained from an experienced person. The technique should be taken or learned from an experienced person, and we should be, having the systematic practice for having utilized, exploring the potential of mind. This is the message given to us through the story of Abhimanyu and Chakravyuh.
Got it. Got it, Guruji. For me, while I'm listening to you, few different messages are resonating in my mind. And so I'm going to just summarize the story and then the explanation, Guruji. So Abhimanyu, who was Arjuna's son from Subhadra, while he was in the womb, and Arjun was casually talking about how do you penetrate and break this Chakravyuh and get inside inner warfare. So because he felt Subhadra was interested, he kept going. At some point, he saw that Subhadra had fallen asleep, so he did not finish the rest of the story. And so at that point, so one of the things that I'm taking from this, because Mahabharata is trying to give us the knowledge of life as well, right? Like, as you said last time, you look at different characters and they represent different realities of the universe. So, for example, that even in the womb, there's powerful potential for us to learn. Our learning also starts in the womb. That's one message that I'm taking from this. But then what happened in the actual war, when when the Chakravyuh was formed, Abhimanyu said, I know how to penetrate the Chakravyuh. So you support me with me and you support me and let's do this. Let's win the war. However, he went into the Chakravyuh and he could not make his way out and he was killed mercilessly.
Yes.
And one thing, right, which is so true is we get trapped in accumulation of knowledge. We get trapped in the depths of our mind. And Guruji, I remember one thing that my grandfather also always told me is half knowledge is more dangerous than complete knowledge. Half knowledge is more dangerous than no knowledge. So
Yes.
out here, Abhimanyu had half knowledge and he had half understanding. And, it's so much like what we live today. We're just gathering information, getting trapped, allowing our mind to get trapped in all of this knowledge and information. And it's all partial and we allow ourselves to get entangled in all of those thoughts in our mind. So all of that, right, without the wisdom and the focus of how to untangle, because as Guruji said, right, this accumulation, Guruji said this since the start of our lectures, that all of this accumulation, this is just kora gyan. It's nothing. You just at the end of the day, unless we can just experience and untangle ourselves and merge with the cosmic intelligence, there is no point of anything. So this Chakravyuh story, which was one of the most powerful stories of the Mahabharata, is a great reminder for us to know how much do we get entangled within our own mind, and to always remember to always keep that razor sharp focus so that we can come back from it.
So, yes,
okay,
that's correct. Yes. Any situation we are slowly entering in, if you are focused, you will be succeeded. You can solve the situation and you can come out safely from that.
And operation in part knowledge, right, Guruji? Operation in part knowledge. Part knowledge, and think that you can take the half of the knowledge and operate in that, and that becomes so much more dangerous today. And that happens a lot, Guruji. Whether it's doctors, whether it's teachers, half knowledge. I was trying to learn astrology as a child, and that's when my grandfather told me that, and I turned out to be good at the palmistry. But he said to me, Nidhi, give this up, because half knowledge is more dangerous than no knowledge. And I gave it up that time. So now, Guruji, let's move to the next story. Bhishma is, for me, that was the most painful scene when I was watching Mahabharata as a child. It was just, I didn't want to watch that. It was just, it was very painful to watch that Bhishma was on his arrows and he's talking about how to rule the kingdom. So Guruji, what is that and what is the significance of that?
Yes. So Bhishma is indomitable and immortal because he got a boon from his father. Then when the Pandavas came to know that without eliminating this person, there is no question of winning the war. So the 9th day, the Pandavas approached Bhishma and bowed down to his feet and requested that we have to win the war. Pitamah, so long as you are alive, our victory is out of question. So please tell us how to kill you. So being Bhishma, he never, moved back from the warfield. So without killing Bhishma, they cannot advance. Then Bhishma said, my wish is your victory. So long as I'm having my weapon, nobody can kill me. So you make me leave my weapon in the war field. So he was advised. Then the Pandavas asked, how? I will not fight with the eunuch. Either it should
No
be a
man, not a
man.
woman.
Yes. Either he should be a man or a woman who could fight with him. Technically, he was saying that he was not ready to fight with a woman or eunuchs. But if a goddess is coming in front of him, challenging him, he was able to even challenge the god. So he was a mighty warrior.
Right,
Anyhow,
right.
there was a character, a previous story, and when we get time, I will explain that. There was a eunuch, born for killing this man. His name was Shikhandi.
Shikhandi,
So,
yes.
Shikhandi. So Bhishma told his people, you bring Shikhandi in between Arjuna and Bhishma. So the moment Bhishma see that Shikhandi, Bhishma will stop sending the arrow. That time he will stop fighting. You make use of that point and kill him. This is what Bhishma told Arjuna. So everything was planned, and the 10th day it happened. The moment Bhishma saw Shikhandi was ready to fight with Bhishma, he immediately stopped sending arrows. By using that time, that gap, Arjuna sent an arrow and put him down. Not only one arrow, it was a barrage of arrows. So this man fell on a bed of arrows. It's called Sharashaya. Shaya means bed. Shara means arrow. So he fell down. Still, he was not, dead because he had the boon to wish for that. Unless he wished, he cannot die. So he was alive on the bed of arrows. So anyhow, after the war, he was still alive because he was waiting for the right celestial time for Uttarayan. So when Uttarayan comes, if somebody leaves the body, he can go to the heavens.
Higher abode, yeah.
Yes. So it's called Suryayana, journey towards light. So this person was waiting for the Uttarayan.
Oh,
Then sun should come in the northern sphere. Anyhow.
Yeah, northern solstice.
Yes. So after 18th day, they won the war. After winning the war, poor Dharmaputra became nervous. He approached Krishna and said, "Hey Krishna, I feel guilty. Why did we kill our old, relatives, uncles, cousins, and brothers, co-brothers? And what is the use of holding a piece of land by doing such a sin? So better let me go to the river Ganges and start doing penance for the departed souls." Then Krishna said, it's a very, very, that when you read that part, you feel it's actually mesmerizing. Anyhow, then Krishna told this guy, "Hey fool, why did you kill all these people just to do the penance?" That means if you do even a crime for a better reason, you should take responsibility of that act, karma. Then you should settle it by doing your good karmas for justifying the act. So Krishna said, you must rule the country and establish dharma, righteousness. That is the real penance for this sin. Then Dharmaputra said, "Oh, then how can I be a good king? How can I rule the country in the best way?" Then Krishna said, "No, I am not capable of giving you instruction or guidance for that because I am not as experienced as the real masters." Then Krishna said, "Better we should go to Bhishma.
Bhishma.
Yeah, he is on the bed of arrows. You go and ask. He will give you the right instructions. See how he is setting. I mean, the writer is setting up the situation. What is the? I mean, when he went there, Dharmaputra approached Bhishma and requested for giving him instructions. There, Bhishma started delivering the instructions to a king, which is called Anushashanam. There, the writer was deriving the constitutional laws. When you write constitution, see the calculation. It is delivered by Bhishmacharya. 6 generations lived. The man who lived 6 generations.
6 generations.
That much experience. The man who could win even the gods, the mighty person. So he was never having any kind of inferiority complex. See, a person experienced 6 generations experience, the mighty warrior who was indomitable. Then he was not having a family, no wife, no children, no relatives. So completely free, no barriers or boundaries of family attachments. Then lying on a bed of arrows, was waiting for the right time to leave the body. That person was delivering the constitutional law. Means when you write the constitution, that person should be as qualified as this person. No inferiority complex, no bondage, no limitations, nothing.
Sounding like Narendra Modi.
Then he was not having even the attachment of his body. That also left. So that person, unbiased person, is giving the Anushasana. Then first question he was saying that for being a good king, what I should do. So Bhishma was saying that Agradas Chaduru Veda. If you want to be a ruler, you have to be number 1. You should be on top of 4 Vedas. Means all kinds of knowledge should be with you. You should be fully educated, completely educated. Agradas Chaduro Veda. 4 Vedas must be in your control or in your limit. Then Prashtadas Tasharam Dhanu. Your cure must be having enough arrow. Means you should be completely equipped. As like the power should be with you. All kinds of weapons must be with you. Idam Brahmyam, Idam Chakram. Either with the power of mind, power of knowledge, or with muscle power. You have to establish the law, protect your country. This is what we should do. So now we can see the ruler must be having 2 sides of education. You should be physically fit, knowledgeable, and equally developed in spiritual path. If there is no spiritual support, this guy must be trapped into temptation. See, this is
power. The power will corrupt you. Yes.
Of course, unless you are established into spiritual, background, always power will corrupt that person.
Corrupt you. Absolutely.
When you are in power, you will have all supports by law, by everything will be supporting you. So you will be the mighty person. If you are not settled within through spiritual practice, definitely you will be carried away with the temptation. This is the big danger which we are facing in our modern world. This is noticed even thousands of years ago. Masters recognized this fact and they established through the scriptures. And there he was delivering this all Anushashanam, how the constitution of the country should be written. Then second one more thing I can just let you know. I love this
I can tell, Guruji. Yeah.
So when he was asking that, I would like to be available for everybody. Everybody should say that I am doing the right thing. And how can I
Yeah.
prove or convince myself
Ah.
that I am a good king? Then he said
Yeah.
one more slogan that Striya na purusham sarva abharana vibhushidam nirbhaya charade pratipatyande idi rakshadi bhumiva. Say, we should relate these teachings with our present day life. Stri means a lady, na purusham, without the support of a man. I mean, a lady alone. Sarva
Mm-hmm.
abharana vibhushidam, wearing all her ornaments which makes her happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Nirbhaya, without any spark of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Charade, to move around. Pratipatyande, irrespective of day or night. Then, if a lady is moving alone like that, comfortably, Idirakshadi Bhumiva, you are a good king. See
Wow.
how the safety of the lady,
Wow.
the honor of the lady, is being defined even thousands of years ago in Mahabharata.
Wow. 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 That's amazing.
See,
Wow.
when I heard this one from my father, I was thinking that, and no lady must be having fears. As a child, even I was thinking like that. Because Bhishmacharya said this. So if we educate our children like this, ladies will be protected, honored. They will be safe in that country because culturally men are having that honor, that respect, that love, that care. It will come from their heart. Then how can he you know hurt a lady? We cannot bring law and order, all kinds of law and order through guns and punishments. Culturally, people should be evolved with certain values like.
Lovely. Beautiful. That was lovely, Guruji. I'm so glad we touched upon this story. This is such a good story. I'm going to summarize it, Guruji.
Yeah.
So Bhishma, who was the grandfather from 6 generations, and he did not die because he had a boon. And the boon was that no man or woman can kill him. That is a different, technicality. And he had seen life through 6 generations. So there are two aspects to this. Let's talk about both the aspects. One was after the Pandavas won the war, they asked Krishna that, look, what have we done? We have killed all our relatives, and now we must go and do some penance and must do some prayashchit. And Krishna says, when you took an action, you took the action with a purpose. Your prayashchit, your penance, is actually fulfilling that purpose. Instead of feeling guilty about your action, you take responsibility for your action and you say, why have I done this? So the message in this is that our action should have purpose. And if you're doing something for a higher purpose, even though it may have some, negative aspects to it, to really make sure the purpose is fulfilled for which you have conducted that action. So for the Panda, for Yudhishthira, Dharmaputra, that was ruling the kingdom and restoring dharma. Restoring dharma in a place where dharma had been destroyed.
Yes.
And Krishna, who's representative of the universal consciousness, said that Bhishma would be the most ideal. He's seen a kingdom through 6 generations, so he will have the best advice. So Bhishma, and this is so good for anybody, all of us who are in a position, anybody who's in a position of authority, says that the way you can rule the kingdom is not only just by your arrows, you also want full knowledge of the Vedas. So you want all kinds of wisdom and all kinds of knowledge. Also with power comes ahankar, comes ego. And that ego can be very destructive. So you cannot be at the top without spiritual grounding. Constant reminder as we evolve in our life, as we grow in our life, to constantly ground ourselves spiritually. And the Vedic knowledge has the great tools for that. So I wish they did this for all the prime ministers. Everybody who enters politics should have, Guruji, they should be made to study the four Vedas. It should be mandatory. The IAS exam should have the Vedas. We have such great knowledge in our country. They should really have it. But he says that.
I'm sorry, this is not the era for learning Vedas. We have to learn Veda Sara or Veda Anda, means the essence of Veda.
The essence of it. That's fine, Guruji. That's fine.
That means spiritual knowledge.
Spiritual knowledge, yeah, Vedanta, or but there's some education should be there. Otherwise, all it is power and ahankar. That's all we are growing. That's we are feeding that. Uh, and the most amazing thing, right? Because of course he's like, how do I measure? How will I know that I'm being a good king? Dharmaputra is, if I do all of this, but how do I know that I'm being a good king? And what a great something that's even relevant today. He says, when a woman in your kingdom can dress up and walk alone without fear, it means you're running. And that's such a good indicator anywhere in the world. That's such a good indicator of how well a kingdom is being run. So this was amazing, great, beautiful story, Guruji. Really great, really, really great.
Thank you. So we have to be grateful to our masters who could see these things in their deep mind, or recognize these things in their deep meditation, and they brought these ideas back into us through wonderful stories. So we should appreciate that.
You're explaining it to us very well too, Guruji. I mean, otherwise it can be so complicated. Like you said, for me, the Mahabharata felt like the Chakravyuh, that I'm getting into it, but I don't know how to get out of it because it was so complex. But now understanding story by story and learning how to understand it and decode it makes it so much easier, right? Like everybody who's listening, this is such a useful way to do this. So now, Guruji, that brings us to Eklavya's story.
Oh, yes. Again, Eklavya is the, I can say, people are completely entangled into this sentimental approach to Eklavya. Because that character is presented to us the most betrayed person.
Yeah.
Acharya, Dronacharya did the cruelty beyond explanation. That also just to protect the position of Arjuna. So story I will tell. Then during the childhood stage, Dronacharya was the army chief of Hastinapura. So he was training this princess. Then actually Dronacharya was invited by Bhishmacharya for training these people, the serious, mysterious application of mantras, and through the mantras, weapons should be. So the archery has two sections. One is ordinary, arrow management. The other one is mantra-infused arrows. So basically, we must understand, if we are into this subject of yoga, when we define the scriptures through yogic perspective, we must identify these things. There are basically 5 arrows: Bhaumastram, Varunastram, Agneyastram, Vayavyastram, and for the one Indrastram or Vajra. These are the 5 actually weapons, means they are representing 5 elements. Bhaumastram is how you can either protect or destroy the earth by using your mental power. Second one is Varunastram, how the water power can be used either for protection or destruction. Like a dam. You can construct a dam for producing electricity and watering different areas. But that dam can be demolished immediately, even to kill, destroy a
Flood.
large areas
Yeah.
of population.
Crazy flood. Yeah.
Then a flood, a normal running river can protect or nourish many areas, but a flooded river can make a lot of destruction. So each and every energy is having these two phases. So basically, these real warriors were having these secret mantra applications for
Right.
protecting the country. So
Right.
Dronacharya was teaching these techniques for the warriors of the army. I mean,
Right.
what it's like a licensed people. Like we
Right.
have our army. They are
Yeah.
getting the most advanced weapons for use. The same way, this guy was teaching. One day, one tribal guy came from forest. He's a forest dweller, Ekalavya. Then he approached Dronacharya and bowed down to his feet and said, I would like to learn archery from you, sir. Then Dronacharya asked his background, the purpose of learning all this. Then he said, I am staying in the forest and I am a forest dweller. Then Acharya told him that you are not supposed to be here. Okay? You are not in need of learning these advanced applications of this archery. So better you go back and live in your forest. But he was a talented archer, focused mind, and he was having that inborn talent for archery. So what did he do? He went back and started practicing by himself. So this is the first time we see Ekalavya. Then after many years, this uh, students in the in the palace, they completed their education and they were fully equipped warriors. So one day, Acharya called these people that there was a request from or an instruction from the palace that people should go to the forest and kill animals because the number of cruel animals increased. So they were coming back to the nearby villages and they were making a lot of destructions problem. So you have to go there and kill a certain number of animals.
Animals.
So all these people in the leadership of Dronacharya went to the forest and they arranged their camp and they sent the hunting dogs in the deep forest. Then what they will do? They will go in the deep forest and make a lot of noise. Then animals will be scared. They will jump out from the bush. And what the people should do? They should select fully grown animals. Young animals should not be killed. Animals who had lived enough and proven animals, then only kill. That also, carotid artery, karna narrow means people should be sharp enough to send the arrow to the carotid artery to kill the animal. You know why? The animal
It doesn't
will
hurt.
not feel the pain.
Yeah, it does not hurt. Yeah.
With a fraction of second, they will die. Now, without knowing the pain, they are killed. That is the dharma. Even though we are killing an animal for our safety, that animal should not have the
Pain.
pain. It
Pain.
is the law. So once it is done, one of the hunting dogs came back by like mourning because it was filled with arrow. Its mouth was filled with the arrow. So everybody was surprised. A dog was barking and a bunch of arrows were completely sent into the mouth means it must be a sharp shooter and talented shooter. So Dronacharya said, okay, trace out this area and find out who did it. So people went into the deep forest. They saw a guy, a tribal young guy, powerful guy, who was practicing archery. And nearby him, they saw a statue of Dronacharya. Then these people, if people asked him, who are you? Then he said, I am Ekalavya. I am this the son of the forest king. Then these people said, we are from Hastinapura, the warriors. Now, master is asking someone that you should be there. Then Ekalavya came back to the camp area. Then he bowed down the feet and he said, I am Ekalavya. Then master asked him, did you do this? Ekalavya said, yes, because it was barking and it was disturbing my concentration. That is why I did that. Okay. Then who taught you these techniques? He said, Dronacharya. Then he, told the story how he met Dronacharya. Then master recollected that, yes, everything is fine. Now you have to give me Guru Dakshina, the presents, because even though he was not teaching him, directly, he was using his statue as his
inspiration. Yeah.
She asked for Guru Dakshina, the present for the Guru. Then Ekalavya said, okay, what do you want as Guru Dakshina? And master said, give me the thumb of your right hand. So Ekalavya immediately took his knife and cut this one and kept on a leaf and presented as the Guru Dakshina. This is the story. So how people are defining this? Oh, Dronacharya was jealous of him.
Cruel,
Yeah, because he was more advanced than his, beloved student Arjuna. To protect Arjuna's supremacy, master did this. Being a forest dweller, he was sidelined from the main society. It was a cruelty. So this is the way we say. Our mind is our own samskara. But what we should see, let me bring your attention back to our present day life. If you go to the army chief of India and asking that, or you go to a training camp, or military training camp, see the major or brigadier, they said, I am interested to use an AK-47, gun. Get me a gun and get me training for that. What they will do? Will they train you? They will say that,
they won't train you. Qualification. It's a qualification. Yeah.
Something wrong
without
with
a
your
qualification.
brain, go back.
Yeah, without a qualification, they won't train you. Yeah.
Then, if that boy is going out and going to a lathe where they make this, like goldsmith and all these things. Sorry, what's that? Ironsmith, and make a local gun and start shooting. He may be talented, and he start killing these animals and those. What will happen? Even this, as per our situation, law will catch him, either put him in bar or punish him.
Yeah.
Is it not so?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you are not supposed to go behind the bar, you should obey the existing law. So actually, master was, protecting him, because power must be controlled. Otherwise, it can be, destructive. So, the animal who was barking, that is the duty of an animal. They being tortured with the talent of the archery. So that should be punished. If master was not doing that, he would have been even imprisoned as per the law. Even the licensed killers are selected, the archers are selected who are talented to send the arrow to the carotid artery. Why? The animal should not be having any kind of pain when it is killed. So that much strength is there. By law, it is established. So Arjuna is an uncomparable warrior because he was well versed in this basic 5 arrows. He knew the mantras and all this. And he could even stop the rain by sending the arrow. So how an Ekalavya can be a match for Arjuna? So we should think in that way. So there, actually, Dronacharya was protecting this forest dweller from a serious punishment. Appreciating his talent and respecting the law by taking away the power from him, because he was talented and he was not supposed to use arrows like this. Of course, other fingers can be used to kill an animal for his food, but he is not. It is not necessary for him to torture animals like this. So when we
Absolutely.
see this one, we can see a particular incident from different point of view. This is what our perception.
Absolutely.
Yes. When we see this thing,
Abs-
start seeing, a story or an incident in this way. Now you can ask, need we blame um,
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya or not? Yes.
Great, great, Guruji. And again, right, it's exactly the same. US has a big problem of this gun licensing. All of these problems are currently in the US. The women and the licensing. So, everything good. I'm going to summarize what Guruji said very briefly, that everything that is used to protect can also be used to damage, right? The same thing happened with when Alfred Nobel came up with the atom bomb to protect. It became such a big problem and became a reason for this. So it is extremely important. This story was a reminder that it's extremely important. While you may have the skill, you may have the talent, when anything is powerful, it should be in the right hands and done in the right manner. And just talent is not useful, it's not helpful, because if it's not done in the right manner, it's not in the right hands, it has the potential to destroy.
Yes.
When things are taught in a certain order to certain people who are in that authority, they know how to use it. For example, even the animals that were wild and that were destructive, even those were killed with a certain order, protecting the universe, protecting the law and order, not creating new pain and new suffering. So when Eklavya learned on his own, after having being refused by the master for a certain reason, technically what he did was not right. I mean, that's what actually people do. They sit and they learn warfare by themselves and all of that. That's as destructive, and then you can come out and be dangerous to the normal community.
Yes,
So
of
that
course.
is the
Yes.
story of Eklavya. Completely new perspective. Very, very
Yes.
good perspective, Guruji. Very useful. So today we went into the story of Abhimanyu, how you get into the Chakravyuh. You can get entangled in your mind, but you really need to know how to come out of it. Otherwise, it's a trap. We understood that even when you're in a position of, for the Bhishma story, in a position of authority, you need spiritual grounding, always need spiritual grounding to be able to balance it. And we said that the last story we had today was Eklavya, and we said that when anything is learned and it's powerful, it's very careful who it is imparted to and how it is used. We can't
Yes.
just use it, we can't just do it.
We have to go by law, and law must be uh, defined by the authority, the qualified people, and the law should be enforced by quality people. Then people will, the ordinary people will go in tune with the law. Otherwise, law will be violated. It can create a lot of problems. Now, why the weapons are misused around the world? Because weapons are, kept with people who are not matured enough to handle
Yes,
weapons.
to handle
That
it.
is why people are
Absolutely.
scared.
Great. Great. You related it so well to today's time, Guruji. All of the problems are very relatable to today's times. Everything.
Yes.
So, so Guruji, next time when we go to, we still have Bhagavad Gita to discuss. So we also I would want to talk about Dronacharya as well next time, as well as so we'll talk about Dronacharya, see if there's anything else, any other useful stories that are pending, and then take the conversation to Arjun and Krishna's conversation.
Hmm. Okay.
Make sense,
So
Guruji?
yes, next class we will take Dronacharya and
Hmm.
how he was evolved and
Hmm.
how his death was and why it was. We will explain and we'll see the message behind it, and we will take Bhagavad Gita as whole. We will come to know how it can be related to our
Use
day-to-day
in our
life.
life.
Yes.
Absolutely. Lovely. Thank you, Guruji. Pranam, Guruji. Thank you to everybody for
Welcome.
listening.
Welcome.
Catch us
Yes.
next time, Pranam. We will be talking about more interesting things, really getting into Bhagavad Gita. All right. Thank you. Pranam,
Thank you.
Guruji. Bye.